Let's go ahead and look at these space rocks. We have meteors, meteoroids, and meteorites. Meteoroids, meteors, and meteorites. Each day, tons of meteoroids hit Earth's atmosphere. Meteoroids are pieces of rock that break off of asteroids and travel through space. Most meteoroids burn up in Earth's atmosphere, causing a streak of light called a meteor. Meteoroids that reach Earth's surface are called meteorites. So when you think about it, the meteoroids are the rocks that are in space that are traveling. They break off of asteroids. The meteoroids that burn up in Earth's atmosphere, we call those shooting stars, like this one. But we're going to call them meteors. Those are those streaks of light. Finally, our meteorites are meteoroids that reach Earth's surface. They are right here on Earth. Meteorite is right here. That picture is a meteorite in a museum. Meteorites have been discovered all over the world, like these discovered in Antarctica, or these meteorites that were discovered in Sudan, which is in Africa. The Barringer meteor crater in Arizona was formed by a meteorite that struck Earth about 50,000 years ago. Impacts can happen anywhere on Earth. All right, we're going to look at our last type of space rocks, and I'm going to use these books. So we've got the Universe book by DK Eyewitness. And even though we've looked at it for asteroids and the comets, I didn't read this introduction. And the introduction really has to do with meteors, meteorites, and meteoroids. So just remember, there's also asteroids on this page. Don't get confused. But I love what this says here. It says the solar system has many members besides planets and their moons. The largest are the rocky lumps we call asteroids or minor planets, orbiting relatively close to the sun. Swarms of smaller icy bodies lurk much farther away at the edge of the solar system. Some occasionally travel in toward the sun, where they melt, release clouds of gas and dust, and become visible as comets. Asteroids often collide and chip pieces off one another, and comets leave swaths of dust in their wake. So they leave some of themselves behind, is what it's saying, okay? Some of those parts. Asteroid and comet particles called meteoroids fill interplanetary space. So when they cross Earth's orbit and enter its atmosphere, most burn up in the atmosphere as shooting stars, also termed meteors. A rare meteor that reaches the ground is called a meteorite. So when we say meteoroid, did you hear what it said? It said that a meteoroid is pieces of asteroid and comet particles, so like hunks of them. So meteoroids are what are up in space. When we have a meteor, it's like this. A meteor shower, right? Like this. It says showers of meteors. The fiery streaks we see in the sky are meteors, are mostly by meteoroid particles little bigger than sand grains. These particles are heated to incandescence by friction as they smash into the atmosphere at speeds of up to 60,000 miles per hour. On average, about 10 meteors can be seen in the night sky every hour. But during meteor showers and storms, thousands may be seen. So I'll be honest with you, I did not see a meteor or know it was a meteor until I was in my 20s, until I was an adult. And that was when I was actually out in Wyoming taking a class with other teachers. So when I think about Wyoming and where I was, it's not like where we live here in Ohio. In Ohio has lots of areas that are farmland, and I live close to a city, Columbus. So there's lots of houses, there's lots of lights, lots of buildings. So it's hard to see some of the things in the night sky. But when I was out in Wyoming, and there was not a big city around, there were not a lot of houses, there were not neighborhoods where I was able to get a really great view of the sky. So I could see some of those shooting stars. So the things that you see in the sky that are shooting stars are meteors. The ones that are out in space before they get that shooting starness are the meteoroids. And then whatever lands on Earth is a meteorite. A meteorite is like a little piece of rock. So when we look at a couple of our read alouds, you're gonna see what those are. So we're gonna see some of those examples. So we're gonna learn more about those space rocks here in a few. All right, we're gonna go ahead and look at this space book to see what we can find out about the whole meteor, meteoroid, meteorite situation. And when I looked in the index in the back, it actually had me go to the same page. So when I looked at all the images and everything, there's not a lot there about meteoroids or meteors or meteorites. But when I read right up here, it just had a little bit. It just said, meteoroids are even smaller bits of rock debris floating through space. That's the only thing it says in here about them. But it's following that asteroids are mostly rock and metal, and hundreds of thousands of them orbit between Mars and Jupiter in the asteroid belt. Meteoroids are even smaller bits of rock debris floating through space. So when you think of an asteroid and a meteoroid is way bigger than a meteoroid. A meteoroid is much smaller. It can actually be a piece of asteroid that's broken off. So a meteoroid is smaller than an asteroid.
A meteor appears when a particle or chunk of metallic or stony matter called a meteoroid enters Earth's atmosphere from outer space. Meteors that pass through the atmosphere and impact Earth's surface are called meteorites. So the biggest difference for all of these is where they're located. Meteoroids are located in space, meteors are in Earth's atmosphere, and a meteorite is right here on Earth.